Joe talks about Joe. And now, your host, Joe Slepsky.
Hello, and welcome back to Joe on Joe Extreme. It's me, your host, Joe Slepsky, and I am back for the 5th episode of the 2nd season. Very excited this week because I've got a twofer, guys. I've got a 2-for-1 this week. We're teaming up with the brothers Alberich. Alberich, am I even pronouncing that right? Alberich? Alberich?
Closer than most.
Yeah,
Closer than most?
Closer than most. Yeah.
Jason, you gave me an Albie Rich, like Albie Shore.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's how people spell it right, like Alberich.
And how do you pronounce it?
Alberich.
Jason and Jarrod Alberich. Jarrod Alberich, you're a podcaster from the Longbox Crusade. You host the G.I. Joe Chronicles, The Devil's Due Years. Jason, you're a G.I. Joe fan. You're known as Weasel Skull out there. You co-host on his show often, right? Am I describing everything correctly, guys?
I do co-host occasionally, or I've guested occasionally. Usually when the usual host Pat Sampson is looking the other way, as he is tonight.
That's right. We're missing Pat Sampson. I was recently a guest on their show. So first, let me welcome to the show Jarrod and Jason Alberich. Welcome to Joe and Joe Extreme.
Wow. I thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for letting us be here.
I'm excited to have you guys.
I dressed up in my full Dr. Mindbender costume for this, not realizing audio only.
Well, that's okay. I do have some dental work that I could use some help with. So as long as you're in costume, I'd like for you to look at a molar.
I tried to convince him to do Tomax and Zaymot for the brothers angle, but he didn't do it.
I really hope that you guys have at some point cosplayed as that, or
I
played
do
around
the Dr.
with that.
Mindbender as a go-to because it's a cosplay is as easy as don't have a shirt.
That's true.
It's real easy to
And
do.
but you gotta get the purple cape and a monocle and a mustache though.
The
devil's.
I just went shirtless.
No, that's just you're just road pig when you're just shirtless.
Oh,
Just shirtless is a road pig. Shirtless with a cape is Mindbender. So
I'm road pig.
which what cosplay is it when you're pantsless? So Jason, who's the older brother here, guys?
I'm the older brother.
Jason, you're older.
And the more handsome brother.
Of course, the more handsome and probably the more well-read and the more worldly and all those good stuff. How many years older than you are you than Jarrod?
We're 5 years apart.
5 years? Okay. That's good, but you're both into G.I. Joe.
Yeah, we both got into G.I. Joe. I mean, I was a little bit older when Joe came out. I was about 12? And that would have made Jarrod about 7. And, Jarrod stayed with it definitely a lot longer than I did. You know, I grew up at about 35 and stopped playing with them.
I'm still going.
Wait, well, before we cast stones, Jason, you're still doing a G.I. Joe podcast in 2020.
Yeah,
and your handle, your social handle is Weasel Skull. So
that is true. Yeah,
I don't think you've ever really stopped. Yeah.
All right, you caught me, Joe.
And Jason, what do you do in this crazy world of ours?
Well, in this crazy world of ours, when I'm not podcasting, I work for Washington State Department of Ecology. I write rules and develop plans for making sure that we maintain good air quality in the state of Washington.
That's very cool. How did you get into that kind of a career path? What did you study to get that?
Oh man, what a long, strange trip it's been. I left the Army. I was an Army intelligence analyst for about 14 years. I left the Army after my tour in Iraq in 2005.
Wow.
And then I went to college on the GI Bill at St. Martin's University in Olympia, Washington.
No relation.
All right. And I studied political science and international relations and graduated from there and got hired at Department of Ecology. Started off as a grant writer, became a unit supervisor, and now I'm a unit supervisor, and I supervise a team of rule writers and planners. So that's kind of the Cliff's Notes version of how I got to where I am today.
That's wild. It's quite a journey, and that means you're going to bring some military authenticity. So you said you got out of Iraq in 05, or you joined up in 05?
No, I joined the Army back in '91, and I left the Army in 2005 after my tour in Iraq.
Well, thank you for serving. I'm sure. I don't know. Good experience, bad experience. It sounds like you made the most of It sounds like you made the most of it career wise.
Yeah, I think like anything. I mean, there was good and bad, and for the most part of it, I made some really good friends that have lasted a lifetime. And you take the good, you take the bad,
Pick
take
them
the
both.
and there you have the facts of life.
Yeah,
So.
it always comes back to Tootie. Now, Jarrod,
Yeah, it does.
You are known online as the yard sale artist. And you were telling me, you guys, I was lucky to be a guest on your show, the G.I. Joe Chronicles, Devil's Due Years. We just did issue 11. And you were telling me when we did that what you are an artist, which is amazing. But what you specifically do is you specifically find found items at yard sales and do art on those items.
That is correct.
I love it, and I've been since we've talked. I've seen your stuff online, and it's fabulous. So explain to our viewers more detailed what that is.
Okay, it's a myriad of things, really. But yes, I mean, I make independent comics. I do pen and ink drawings, paintings, watercolors, all that. But they call me the yard sale artist because I will go to a yard sale. I will see, let's say, a painting, and it's a very nice countryside. And I'm like, the Incredible Hulk would look cool standing in that field. So I'll add the Hulk to it. Or I love to find like abstracts. Like I was just showing Jason one that I did, a Daredevil. It was like this abstract painting. It was huge. And I just put a gigantic Daredevil on this abstract painting just to give it awesome pop and pizzazz. And I do that. Or I'll find one of my favorites is like I found a mirror and I painted the Silver Surfer on it. But like he's the only part I didn't paint. So he was still mirror and everything else around him was the space and the planets and stuff. And it came out cool. And I like that one too, but yeah, I am an artist by trade. But I do want to just repeat a story for you.
Yeah.
I commissioned in the Air Force in 1999. I got out after my tour in Iraq in 2006. Jason and I come from very similar backgrounds.
Wow.
We do.
Wow. So you followed in your brother's footsteps. So
our father was a soldier. Our uncle was a soldier. Our grandfather was a soldier. It's our family thing.
Wow. That's wild. And you were Army as well?
I was Air Force.
You were Air Force. Awesome.
Yeah.
And what were both of you? What was your exiting ranks at? What did you guys leave the service as?
Go ahead, Jason.
I was picked up for promotion to Sergeant First Class, but I turned that down in order to leave the Army.
Okay.
So I left as a staff sergeant. Sorry, technically.
Nice. What about you, Jarrod?
I left as a captain.
Nice. Now, who ranks higher then? And I know they're different branches, so I don't know if there's a direct correlation.
Like specifically, I do, but like in life, Jason does.
Okay. I just want to
because I became like a bum artist, and now he's like Walter Peck from the Ghostbusters. He's out there enforcing those laws. And making sure.
I am not Walter Peck.
And he has no D. Yeah, I get it. Well, I just need to establish the hierarchy, especially amongst brothers.
Well, he's the older brother, but yes, I became a commissioned officer. And
I was an enlisted man. So
nice.
That's right.
And what did you do in the Air Force, Jarrod?
I was a communications officer. So if you think about like
breaker.
Yeah, absolutely. I was a breaker or mainframe.
Yeah.
Deep down inside, I always want to be cover girl. Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, no,
who doesn't?
Yeah, right. Well, that's one true. Courtney was a runway fashion model. I mean, that's the life. Let's get real here.
If you saw my gams, you'd understand.
Did you ever like put on a beret and pretend you were dial tone?
I actually had a black beret, so I could pretend like
Oh, okay.
Yes, Jason actually is. Yeah, your uniform would look closer to dial tone than mine did.
So question for both of you guys then. So you guys were, and we'll get into the origins of your Joe Love. Oh, Mary Jane. We'll get into the origins of your Joe Love as we go along the show. But you obviously were fans of G.I. Joe as when you entered the Army. That was something that was in your background.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
How removed from it, and I don't mean to trivialize any of the actual real life or death stuff that you guys may have gone through, but like how far removed was G.I. Joe from your brain? Because like I don't know that I would ever be, like the entire time I would be constantly making comparisons. I would meet, you know what I mean? I would meet someone who's an MP and I'd be like, you know, in my head I'd be like, you're nothing like Law or Order, you know, like stuff like that. Like did you have those kinds of experiences in the military?
You go first, Jason. I'll do my story second.
Okay, here, true story for you, Joe. I had a buddy of mine in the Army, Mike Guzman, and the whole time we were in Iraq, whenever he heard something that amused him or somebody said something funny, he had a notebook and he would write it down. And one time I really amused him because we were sitting in there. I was working night shift. It's about 3 a.m. Nothing's going on, and we're kind of all sitting there just trying to stay awake. And somebody just broke out with the question, what's the name of those two Cobra brothers, the twin brothers? And I just said Tomax and Zaymont. And everybody just thought that was so funny that I knew this stuff. They'd always come to me for all the comic book references, and he wrote that down and memorialized it. But yeah. So
the second part of this story is, because they're coming over the ridge on a 4x4?
Yeah, so it's Joe was never really far from my mind. And I got to admit, you know, when Larry Hama was writing the original series, like he put in a lot of stuff that really rings true to soldiers. And I remember having a coloring book as a kid where I think it was like Zap or Short Fuse or one of them was pulling KP and having to peel potatoes, and that was like just one of the pictures.
Yep.
And it says some things never change, you know. And I thought of that. I thought of that coloring book and that picture many times when I was either pulling KP or guard duty or some, you know.
That's fabulous.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever refer to Uncle Sam as Uncle Sugar on payday?
I can't say that I did that one.
I don't know if we ever did refer to him as Uncle Sugar.
Always one of my favorite references that he would make. Always. Because it was universal. You didn't even have to explain it. Like, even as a kid, I got what they were talking about. It was Uncle Sam who pays you out. It's Uncle Sugar.
I thought there was one funny moment, and I don't remember which comic book issue it was, but in this issue, G.I. Joe is chasing Cobra, and they're in Washington State, my hometown.
Yeah, I know the one.
And they're on I-5. You know, and I-5 is just renowned for just always being in gridlock.
Mm-hmm.
And in this Joe issue, they are in literally a gridlock chase. Like they're looking at Cobra through binoculars up the highway. Cobra's looking back at them. It's like, oh, we can't get him. You know, and I always thought that was funny as well. I was like, Larry Hama was just a master of bringing a little bit of reality into his G.I. Joe comics.
He was the king. Jarrod, what about you? Any G.I. Joe reality into your service?
I will provide you with 3 G.I. Joe stories from
yes.
Don't worry, they're all short. Story number 1 would be the time that the Air Force came out with a regulation that you would now wear a name tag on your blues coat uniform. Now, I will repeat that. They said you must wear a name tag on your blues coat uniform. That was the reg. It did not say it had to have your name on it. So I had 2 of them made. Well, 3. I had one that said Alberich. I had one that said Sizzle Chest, so I could be Captain Sizzle Chest. And I had one that said Beachhead. And I would wear the Beachhead name tag.
Because Beachhead's your favorite guy.
Yes. My superiors would be like, Alberich, what the hell are you doing? I said, I'm following the reg, sir. I'm following the reg. And they'd be like, you got to wear. I said, read the reg again, sir. It doesn't say you have to have your name on. I was that guy. You know, I was that guy. And so, second story.
Well, is, real quick, save that Sizzle Chest story. I want you to retell that on my Jerky Boys podcast that we're going to.
You get the reference.
I get the reference. Yeah.
Most people don't. Most people just think it's funny. It'd be called Captain Sizzle Chest. So, story number 2. Again, I was in the Air Force. So when we prepped to deploy to Iraq, we have to go through what we call real soldier training for a few days, where we have to like go and qualify on an M16 and crawl through the mud and confidence course, very physical stuff, because the Army's more so into that than the Air Force is, admittedly.
Yeah.
So we have to go kind of take a crash course in surviving in a combat zone. And you do that for about a week. And we were just all dog tired, and our drill sergeant that was running us through, he was worn out, tired, and just no motivation at the end of this one day. We had to go through the course just one more time. And he's like, somebody get me through this course. Somebody sing a song. So I just started up with, "We'll fight for freedom."
Yes.
So, and like everybody knew the song. They were like, G.I. Joe. And then we were like the biggest bunch of nerds crawling through the confidence course singing the Joe song. But I was so proud. I was like, I couldn't believe how many, I would say 90% of the people knew, most of the song.
It's a catchy tune.
I was like, wow. Yeah, we're all nerds here. So that's item number 2.
There's one guy in the back. He was doing the movie version. Dun, 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 dun. Cobra. Yeah.
But yeah. And then finally, one of my jobs at my last assignment in San Antonio, Texas, I was in charge of evaluations, which meant I was to go around and make sure that everybody in our unit, knew what they were doing, evaluate them, score them, rank them, find things they could do better. I was also in charge of developing war games.
Okay.
Like I had to like, my team would present a war game scenario. Like, hey, guess what? Tomorrow we're going to war with boom. And I give them a map. I give them their unit strengths, all that stuff. What are you going to do? Go. And they have to like crisis plan. Is it, that for real life?
Yeah.
You never know who you're going to war with in the morning.
Right.
So you got to be ready. So me and my team, I had to make a completely fictional place called Cobra Island. And I got all the info from the comics. We built this whole thing and we just dropped it on everybody. Okay, Cobra. People are like, what the hell is Cobra Island? I was like, don't worry about it. Just war plan for it. Here's what you got to do. And as people started like looking things up on the internet, they said, oh, okay. And it was so funny because they all kind of embraced it. They were just like, oh, and they were like, well, who is this Cobra Commander guy? I'm like, look him up on the internet and find out what he's capable of.
Okay, wait a minute. If they said who is this Cobra Commander guy, the first thing should have been a slap across the face.
Yeah, you're fired.
Yeah, it's not like, who is this Budo guy? Who is Cobra Commander? Everybody knows Cobra Commander. Come on, people.
I just think it's important that your listening audience knows that at one point in time, your actual United States military was war game planning against Cobra Island. For real.
Love that. That is
that's a real thing.
That is breaking news. I've got the Chiron up on the screen, and I absolutely love that. That's awesome. And was it like, what was the objective? A freighter at the center of the island, possibly with robots hidden.
I wish I could remember the details because again, I was the captain.
Oh, of course.
So my guys made more of the details. As a captain, you pretty much just fill out the leave schedule.
Got it.
Now I don't know. That's about it, really.
I know Beachhead's your favorite. But being in the Air Force, I'm surprised you didn't go like Armbruster or something. Like go Ace, or
Ace,
Slipstream or something like that.
What you got to understand though is there's a culture within the culture. If you're in the Air Force and you're not a pilot, screw those guys.
Oh, got it.
And vice versa. They think we're scum of the earth, but it's a loving brotherhood. But yeah, I definitely have a soft spot for Mainframe and Breaker because I was a comms guy.
Yeah.
But Beachhead, I looked at that file card, place of birth, Auburn, Alabama. That's where I went to college. War Eagle all day, every day. So I'm on Beachhead.
Well, let's be real though. Beachhead is pretty great.
He's great.
He's phenomenal as a character, both in characterization and in look. Like the dude that never takes his those baklava. Baklava is a dessert.
That sounds delicious.
Baklava.
I like a baklava.
What are those called? Balaclava, right? That's what those are called. The full face mask.
Let's go with yes.
Yeah,
yes,
I think they're called. I think their technical terms like balaclava. I think I learned that from Call of Duty. Is the guy that he never takes it off, but not because he's scarred up like Snake Eyes. It's just because he's so intense and so into his job.
Mm-hmm.
Like the only time
I love Beachhead.
There was one episode you saw his face, and that was because of an animation mistake. Like the front of his face just disappeared.
I could swear there was an episode of one of the mid 2000s where they gave him like a surfer guy accent, which was really weird.
That's terrible. No, actually, I think there was one episode. I think there was one episode that they purposely they went out on the town. Yes, there was. I think it was one of the ones like where they were in their civilian clothes. And yes,
Nice.
Beachhead was a part of it, if I'm remembering this properly. And that was like the only episode we really saw him. But he was
Oh.
great. Like
I
his
love Beachhead.
his persona was great. He was like he had your back, but he would give you no quarter. You had to live up to his goals and his standard of excellence.
Yep.
Otherwise, he's going to let you know about it. But you know that there's no one else that's going to be on your team more than Beachhead.
That's right.
Yep.
Beachhead's the man.
Yeah.
Like I say, didn't it say on his foul card something like he'd be the guy that like sit in the bush and wait for the enemies to come by. Doesn't care how long it takes, days, weeks, months. He'll just sit there and wait.
Yeah,
and wait.
that makes
and
sense.
wait.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it's not like he's getting dates. He wears a mask all the time. Who's taking him out on a date? He's got nothing else to do. Jason, who's your favorite? Who's your favorite, Joe?
You know, I'm going back to the originals, and I've always been a big fan of Stalker. I love Stalker.
Yes, good.
Very good. Now, toy or comic book, or I mean, they're essentially all the same, but like, which version of it rings most true to you?
Well, originally I really liked the toy just because I thought he was visually very cool. When the original figures came out, there were a few that were different. Scarlet and Snake Eyes and Stalker were really kind of the three that stood out. And I remember reading the back of that file card. I loved the fact that he could speak many languages, that he was also a medic and a medical interpreter, and when my dad explained to me what an Army Ranger was, I was like, oh, that is so cool. So it started with the figure, and then as I got into the comics, I loved the character in the comics as well. I mean, I remember the issue when he like fights an alligator with a knife. And
just a knife.
Ends up eating that alligator for dinner.
Yeah.
I just love that, man. So yeah, Stalker all day for me.
I think he's pretty great. And what I loved was he was one of the Joes that they really fleshed out a family life for him.
Yes.
Where like him, Grunt, they gave a bit of a family life too, but stuff outside of the military, and I thought that was dynamite. And I'm an old school Snake Eyes head, so the fact that he was on the LRRP with Snake Eyes, and when in that story, he's not a bad guy by any stretch, but he's not the good guy in that story. No, and he carried that guilt with him. He's on the helicopter going, "Let's go, we gotta go. Snake Eyes is dead. Let's leave him." And he carried that guilt, and I thought that was so deep and so wonderful in the comic. Even when I was a kid, I saw that this and there was it was either in that episode or was there a couple issues later where like he got that, he was able to exercise that. I remember we did it on one of my Joe and Joe Illustrated episodes where there's it's the one when he gets shot. That's what it is. It's when they're on Cobra Island and he takes the hit for Snake Eyes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yep.
And he gets shot up and they're carting him off and he feels like that's his we're even now, brother, because I was going to leave you in Vietnam. And Snake Eyes of course is like, we were always even. You didn't need to do this. But thanks for getting shot for me.
Yeah, no, I really liked how Stalker did have that role, and he was tied into that story, that crucial story between Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow, and going all the way back to Vietnam with them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I said, the seed was planted with the action figure, but Larry Hama's run on G.I. Joe is what really carried the day for me.
It's not going to be topped, really. So, brothers, what is your exposure to G.I. Joe Extreme?
I will defer to my older brother and let him go first.
Oh, it's going to be real short for me. This is going to be my inaugural G.I. Joe Extreme cartoon viewing. This is my debut here.
Exciting. It's exciting. To quote Goodfellas, you broke your cherry.
Yep, exactly. I'm going to have my cherry broken tonight.
Oh, I'm excited. We're going to walk you through everybody, explain to you what's going on, explain to you why it's awesome, explain to you why Hasbro and G.I. Joe need to hashtag release the Extreme. Jarrod, what about you? What's your exposure to G.I. Joe Extreme?
Very similar to Jason. My only exposure to G.I. Joe Extreme is as a punchline.
Mhm.
Like it's this punching bag of the GI Joe universe. People are always like GI Joe Extreme, so lame, blah blah blah. I caught a whiff over on GI Joe Chronicles when we had you on for your first appearance,
Mhm.
and you were like, "Ooh, better than people say it is." And my ears perked up, and because I love that, because that's the way I feel about the Devil's Due run that we're covering. It's a punchline for a lot of people. They're like, "Oh, that run,
Oh
oh
no.
that run,"
They
and
really
I'm like, "Yeah, it's
people
great."
punchline Devils do?
Oh, I've heard it punchline.
Oh yeah.
Oh no. Devils do is great. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, but don't they kill off Lady J, right? At some point.
I don't want to reveal. We're not
Spoiler,
there
yeah,
yet.
like that, I'm
All I
never
know is Lady J still alive in 11.
I'm never down with that. I'm never down with that. But I thought Devil's Due was great though. I don't know. But
yeah,
yes,
but-
you're right. Extreme has always been a punchline.
Yeah, that's all I know about it. I didn't even know it got an animated show until you were like, "Hey, over on my show, we're covering the Extreme," and I was like, "It was a show? It was
Yeah.
a show?"
It was completely off my radar. I had heard of it, but again, punchline. You know the word extreme in the 90s, so of course you assume it's one thing, and it is very much that. Let's not, So there are episodes of my own show where I was slagging on Extreme, for the name, for being 90s. The designs are a little, there's so many pouches and shoulder pads and knee guards and like there's all that stuff. But, after watching them, the show's got a lot of merit to it. The story is really, really cool. It's really deep. The art style, while I prefer the Sunbow stuff, it grows on you. And I'm excited for you guys to see this.
I'm fired up.
Yeah, I'm ready to watch it. Yeah.
Very cool. So, listeners, if you've got your episode out there, today's episode is called The Search for Clancy, and it's episode 5 of season 2. So that means we're almost about at the halfway point for season 2, which means we've only got 8 episodes left after this, guys. 8 episodes to wrap up the epic story of G.I. Joe Extreme. And, man, I'm loving it. And what's really cool about this episode, we also get introduced to a new character. Last episode, we got introduced to a new assassin for Scar. This week, we get introduced to Tracker, who is a new member of the Joe on Joe team. Yeah, my podcast. No, he's a new member of the G.I. Joe Extreme team, which is very cool. It's kind of like a mix between Mutt and Spirit. So he's got a dog, and he's awesome. I would have loved to have seen an action figure for this guy. So, without any further ado, gentlemen, are you guys ready to watch this?
I am ready. I'm locked, cocked, and ready to rock, as we used to say.
Oh, real quick, before we start, let's all do our socials. When you guys are online, find me at Joe and Joe Pod. That's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Send me an email to joeandjoepod@gmail.com. Let me know if you want to be a guest on the show. If you do, remember, all guests, not only do you get access to the actual episode we're going to watch, but I've got a Google Drive with all these episodes. And you want to know why that's the only way you can watch it? Because they're not released. And if you want to get them released, what you do is you go on social media, guys. You tag Hasbro, you tag Shout Factory, you tag G.I. Joe Official, and you say #release the extreme. We're doing this, guys. We're building up this groundswell. We're getting this trending.
So this is a movement.
It's a movement.
All right.
We need G.I. Joe to release the extreme. We want to see cleaned up episodes of this. We want G.I. Joe to embrace this 2 or 3 year dark period of their history because it's not as bad as people think, and more people should see it. And I promise you it will get more love. Absolutely promise you. Jarrod, where can we find you online?
I can be found at Yard Sale Artist, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. It's all at Yard Sale Artist or over on YouTube. If you search Yard Sale Artist, you will find my channel where I'm either drawing pictures or sharing my yard sale finds. #release the extreme.
Nice. Jason, what about you?
You can find me at Weasel Skull over on Twitter or at Jason Alberich on Facebook or Instagram. And #release those extremes, man.
Release those extremes. And real quick, Jarrod, if our listeners want to get commissions from you, you do mail order, right? It's not just in-person sales?
Absolutely. Yes. Ever since the COVID's hit, I have exclusively been mail order, and thank God, because business has been great. So absolutely, yeah, check out my stuff. I'm kind of most known right now for book page sketches.
Yeah,
I do characters from the books on the books.
I just saw
and
you,
Joe.
Well, yeah.
Joe's been popular. I do joke characters on pages from an actual Army infantry manual.
Oh, nice.
I actually just did one today, a bifurcated, if I can use a big word, a bifurcated Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow that I did for a client today.
It's not only bifurcated, but it's like half of the face is Snake Eyes and the other half is Storm Shadow.
Nice.
But I'm sorry, I ran wild
they're the
there.
amalgamated Joe. I saw the other day you posted a Sean Connery that was from a ripped out page from a You Only Live Twice paperback.
Yes,
And it was
yes.
beautiful.
Yes.
Absolutely
Thank you.
gorgeous.
And I want to just reassure the audience that I don't just like go. I mean, there's no way I would go find an Ian Fleming You Only Live Twice and tear a page out of it and draw Sean Connery on it. What I do is
I'd have to whoop him if he did.
Yeah.
I have one. I have one. I have because my dad used to read them when he was a kid, and so he let me take them when I left the house.
find them. I find them at yard sales, Goodwills, Christian Missions. Discard from my local library gives me stuff, and they're falling apart. You know, those old paperbacks weren't made to last, and the pages are falling apart. They got torn covers. Some pages got stains. Whatever. That's where I get all my books from. So sometimes I get people who are like, I really love your art, but I could never do that to a book. I just want to be very clear. They're all damaged books. They're all damaged books, and I'm just giving them a second life as art. So just want to make that clear because I do get letters.
Oh, do you really? People ask about
I do. I do.
Wow. No.
Harry Potter fans are.
Oh my gosh! Don't get me started.
Because there aren't enough copies of Harry Potter out there.
I know. They're like, how could you do this to a Harry Potter book? And I'm like, I swear it was damaged already.
I didn't do it. A muggle did it. Awesome. Well, I'm excited, guys. So search for Clancy. Listeners, get ready to hit play, guys. We're gonna go, and here we go. I mean, you don't waste any time getting Black Dragon's crotch right in your face. And that's what's amazing about this show. The very first shot is a man in black jumping crotch first right in your face. It's like the movie Cats watched this and took inspiration.
It said, let's tone it down a little.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Okay.
it's The Search for Clancy, written by David Anthony Kraft, who he's an accomplished comic book writer. We see we're somewhere in the North Atlantic. Now, to catch you guys up on where we're at, this is episode 5. The previous 4 episodes have been playing off of the cliffhanger from the first season, which was Clancy, who is their CIA liaison. Picture, he's literally, I believe, named after Tom Clancy.
Right.
But picture like a man in black kind of a guy, sunglasses, and never takes his shades off kind of a guy. He was replaced by Ironclaw, and Ironclaw is the Cobra commander of this era.
And so much to learn.
Yeah, and Ironclaw was undercover for 4 whole episodes, and it was great because he was sending the Joe team to get their butts kicked.
Oh, that's clever. I like that.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
like the way he thinks.
Can I be an artist nerd for a second?
sure.
This heavy use of black in the shading and the animation is incredible. I love it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I just had to get that out there.
No, I love it. No, we talk about that a lot on the show. I think it hides a lot of the, like a lot of the budget flaws on the show.
I was about to say this is how I ink because I do ink indie comics. I was like, this is how I ink. And in the back of my mind, I was so I can hide my flaws.
Yeah, well, it's true. No, it's true. It is true. It
looks cool. It's
yeah.
like nothing I've ever seen before. So
If you've
it
ever-
gets unique points.
Well, it's very much like this guy Tracker. He's a brand new Joe guy. He's a brand
He
new.
looks like he would sell you a nickel bag as well.
Yeah,
He does.
that's right.
He does. And he comes
Of snacks. I just want to be clear.
Yeah, of snacks. Sure. Yeah, that's
Sorry.
Clancy. So
Okay.
Yeah. So that's what. And so Clancy is missing. And look at Tracker's got his dog, and his dog's got a great name. Oh shoot, what is it? It's like a Native American name. It's awesome.
I love this. I love that heavy black ink. I'm
look-
probably going to say that 100 times.
The dog / wolf.
Oh, yeah, look at that.
He's catching the scent from his glasses.
He's like, oh, yeah. He's like, this guy's definitely been to Taco Bell recently.
For
Who's
sure.
who's the guy in the mask?
That's Black Dragon. He's a sarcastic snake guy. So he's a martial arts expert, but with picture like Deadpool.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
but he's a martial arts expert.
Is that heavy duty?
That is Freight. No, they're all brand new. That's a guy
All
called
brand new.
that's a guy called Freight. He's very much like Heavy Duty. he's an ex-football player who found his calling in the military. And there was a wonderful episode where he for reasons he left the military because someone got hurt and he thought it was his fault, so he felt guilty. He went back to play football, played one game of football, of course dominated, and was like, you know what? I'm not using my powers to the best of my capability. I have to go back to the G.I. Joe team. It was awesome.
Spider-Man.
Yeah. Yeah, or like Superman when his dad was like, you're not here to score touchdowns, kid. It was totally that moment. So here we go. Tracker has immediately found where they were keeping Clancy.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay, so help me out with the character names. And then who's the guy who's clearly the Duke analog?
That is Lieutenant Stone. And Lieutenant Stone, he absolutely is the Duke analog. He's the lead. He's the lead. He's fresh out of a coma.
Well, that's how we all come in.
Yeah.
That's a lieutenant. Yep.
It's true. And what was great was, if you noticed in the first scene, he was wearing, and actually it still has it on. He has a bandage on his arm, and that's the remnant of him being in a coma because, guys, this show has continuity.
Continuity?
Absolutely. This show has
unique inking style, new characters. I love it.
Yeah. The show has episode to episode continuity. So
I'm thinking if the Joe team's drug testing for performance enhancing drugs, all three of these fellas are going to fail.
Oh yeah, there's definitely some HGH involved in this GI Joe.
Oh yeah, the designs on this show are wild. They are.
I like it though.
They all look like monsters. And when they stand next to normal civilians on the show, it is even more apparent of how much HGH is being used.
I wasn't into the collecting figures anymore, but I remember this got a line of figures. Yes, right?
Yes, absolutely. It got one line.
How were they taller? Were they 3 3/4?
They were a little larger. Yeah, they were a little larger, and they were more posed. Do you remember the line Justice League Task Force? The Justice League, what was it called? Justice League Unlimited line in the mid-90s?
Yes.
Where they were all posed and staggered. You know,
yes.
like it wasn't just Batman standing there. It was like Batman in a crouch with his arms up.
Mm-hmm.
That came out of Kenner. And Kenner, Hasbro bought Kenner at the time. And so they gave the G.I. Joe license to the Kenner people. So, so these Extreme guys are very much in those. It's Extreme Justice. That's what it was called.
I got it. Extreme Justice. I had that whole collection. I love those figures.
Yeah. So they're very much, I agree. They look great. It didn't translate that well to G.I. Joe though. Because G.I. Joe's more the everyman. His wolf is Lakota. That's the name of the wolf, and I love it. Lakota.
There's a helicopter in the Army inventory called the Lakota. I'm a big helicopter. I live down by Fort Rucker, where Army does all their helicopter training. So I'm a helicopter nerd.
Okay. Well, are you a big Wild Bill stan then?
I am actually, because he flew the Dragonfly, which is the analog for the AH-1 Cobra, which is what Jason and I's father flew in Desert Shield, and pretty much his entire Army career.
Really?
Yes.
Yep.
So your father was over there in like 91?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, fantastic. How was that weekend?
We were like, where's Dad? Why is Jason working the grill? Actually, he was gone longer than you might think.
No, I imagine. Yeah, no, I imagine. Well, that's wild. Did how long was he over there?
It was about a year, wasn't it?
A year and a half, something like that, and I mean, I know I'm supposed to be watching this cartoon, but I got to give big ups to military wives, man, and military moms that take care of all that stuff while everybody's gone.
For sure, they hold it down, man.
Yeah,
they hold it down like crazy.
We're going to commercial. We're going to be right back.
All right.
The Joes are in a pickle.
By military moms.
Listeners, I know what you need in your life. You need more podcasts, and you also love movies. So why not do a podcast that's about not one movie? It's about not 2 movies. It's about 3 movies and a meal. I'm talking the Movies and a Meal podcast. This show is great. It's brought to you by Keith, Brad, and Ben, and each week they bring a new movie to the table, which they all discuss as a group. And it's not, your highfalutin movies. It's What We Do in the Shadows, The Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer, and Out of Sight. You know, it's Bad Education, Ghost Rider, and A View to a Kill. It's X-Men Last Stand, Queen Sugar, The Mandalorian, and Major League 2. They are a lot of fun to listen to. You guys know Ben. It's our friend Ben Pensarga. He was a guest on Joe and Joe. In fact, Ben was the very first remote guest that I ever had on this podcast, so he's always got a special place in my heart. I'm really digging this. I just started listening to it last week. It is a lot of fun. They bring a guest in. The guest, I listened to their Heathers episode. They were joined by Kelly, and she went in depth on her favorite movie, which was Heathers, and it made me want to go watch Heathers to watch with them. I really dig it. So guys, find them out there at Movies and a Meal, Twitter, Instagram. Their website is moviesandameal.podbean.com. They put out one episode a week. Give them a listen, guys. Support them. Let them know Joe on Joe sent you. I don't think you're going to be disappointed. It is quite entertaining. And now back to the show. Yeah. So
That's right.
the Joes and the storyline, they've tracked down Clancy to, I believe they're in Hong Kong. And now they're
Clearly.
Yeah, now they're fighting basically the local mafia, which is great. Scar is not even in this story. It's
He's getting
wailing on that guy.
He's getting pounded, man. Oh man.
Yeah, and Black Dragon's their martial artist, so it makes sense that he'd be here. Freight is just a brick house. Freight can lift tanks, by the way, guys.
Oh.
And
Nice.
also they're also fighting in 1886 by the looks of the animation. They've got like the old style boats. Everyone's wearing a gi. They've all got, they've like,
I think this one guy has a patch.
yeah, like what's his name? Richard Burton. Was it Richard Burton from Shogun? He's in the background.
Oh, Richard Chamberlain.
Yeah. Richard Chamberlain's walking around shirtless in the background.
Yeah, it is very. Times have not advanced. Oh,
No. They've got
a.
a great look, though. They do got a great look. I'll tell you that. And what's really funny, guys, is this is actually, in case you didn't know this, Extreme is actually like 20 or 10 or 20 years in the future. So, and it's after the collapse of the Soviet Union.
Those dumb bastards.
Oh yeah, and look at her.
I'm
By the, that's Steel Raven, and
wow,
and she's amazing. So this is with the Soviet Union collapse. Let's say maybe there was like this just total collapse in technology, So maybe they did revert back to the old medieval ways because there were some terrible things going on there on that continent.
I want to be an art nerd again and just point out like right there. Look at the backgrounds.
Yeah,
it's simple color palettes with black streaks, but it totally works. I love
it. Pops.
I love the design.
Mm-hmm. I love this guy with the scar on his head.
Absolutely,
he's great. And how easy it would have been to just give me a dude with an eye patch and the Fu Manchu mustache.
Mm-hmm.
But they also apparently from that reverse shot they also make him fat and they give him a scar. They give him a scar.
I'm pretty sure he can get you a good deal on a Mogwai too.
Yes, he absolutely can. So the guys, I don't know how Trekker's doing it. Earlier, he was going into like a meditation trance. So it's like he's.
I was going to ask you about
that. It's like he's Well, this is our first seeing him. So if he's mystical, that's brand new to all of us. So he's like tapping into the Earth's energy, and that's how he's tracking Clancy. So they find their way to this abandoned boat with a bunch of prisoners on it. Of course, they ignore all these other wretches who are in jail. And they're not going to rescue those guys. They're just here for their man Clancy.
Hey, man, mission's a mission.
Yeah. Which,
Keep quiet. We'll get you all out of here as soon as we find Clancy.
I take that back. Stone just promised that he will get them all out there. And I love that he said when we find Clancy, because they all know who Clancy is. And Clancy, if you guys have ever seen Planet of the Apes, do you remember Taylor's buddy who had his brain cut out? That's essentially Clancy right now. Clancy is a zombie. Now, he hasn't had brain surgery per se, but he is absolutely not with it.
Yeah, he has left the building.
You cut out his brain. Yeah.
Yeah, that's That's kind of what you look like when you finish watching the Deke series, isn't it?
Yeah, that Deke series put me on a year hiatus. So, and I am not joking. When I finished the Deke series, I was like, I need to take a break.
No, I don't want to be Debbie Downer. There's plenty to love about the Deke series, but watching them like in a run like you did, I get it.
Oh,
I get it.
Totally. Yeah. And then we absolutely found stuff to love about it. With that Deke series, in retrospect, I kind of just wish they had taken whatever budget they had and said, instead of doing, 26 episodes per season, we're only going to do 15, and use that budget to do a better animation on it. That was the biggest flaw of that show. And what's funny is that show, the way it looked, is the stepping stone between Sunbow and this, where the animation is they're not pumping as much money into the frame rate per se, we'll say.
Right.
But they learned from the DIC stuff that when you cover it with all these heavy blacks, it makes for a smoother show for less money.
It does.
And that's all. I mean, let's be real. That's all me surmising it from what we can see. But from everything I know about animation in the 90s, it was all about doing it cheaper, doing it faster. They hadn't yet hit computers yet, and you're not getting faster frame rates. You can clearly see that. You're not getting the kind of high budgets that the Sunbow stuff had.
Clever artistic ways though to get mileage, like the backgrounds.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And look at you said earlier, Batman the Animated Series. I think this hews closer to X-Men, but you're not wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, Batman, the reason Batman looks so good is because so much of it is covered up,
Yep.
But they just did it in that Art Deco style so that it totally fits in that world. If you try to do that on G.I. Joe, this is probably as close as you can get.
Yeah. In the art world, especially in the inking business, there's an old cliche phrase, but maybe some of your listeners haven't heard it. It's called "When in doubt, black it out." Yeah. And because the human mind will fill in something a lot of times more cool than you had intended to put in that space.
You're 100% right.
So yeah, they really made use of it. I dig this design.
Yeah, so we're going to commercial. We're going to be right back. Today's file card features on the G.I. Joe combat cannon codenamed the Detonator. The Detonator was first released in the U.S. toy stores in 1995 and came with the Sergeant Savage figure. They're calling him the V2. That's the V2 from this line. And if you're keeping track, that's like the 7th Sergeant Savage that's come out, between the 2 in this line and the 5 or so that came out with his own one line of figures. So he jumps up to the top of like the who has so many action figures list. The Detonator is very cool. It's blue and gray. It's very much like the other battle platform that we did a few episodes back, the Spitfire, where it's got this futuristic look, big cannon. It's got the slam firepower technology that they were calling it, where it actually fires the foam missiles. It has a seat for Sergeant Savage to sit in. It's stationary. It doesn't have wheels or anything for transportable purposes. So it's okay. These futuristic battle platforms are okay. At least it does fit him in it. I don't think that he goes flying out of this. The thing I liked about that Spitfire was if it got hit, whoever was sitting in that chair went flying. I don't think that happens with this one. This looks like if you're in it, you're in it to win it. One of the very, very, very cool things that I like about it is it comes with targets, and on those targets is Iron Claw, and that's pretty great. Yeah, Detonator, combat cannon that stands there. We salute you.
Yeah,
Freight might be
he
dead.
took a hit to the head. Oh,
Let's get
right.
real.
Oh no,
Yeah,
fake
but-
snake eyes.
Oh,
no.
there you go. Man, all these bad guys, they all seem to have a bit of a weight problem. They just look so
man.
doughy, all of them.
He's straight up torturing fake.
But I'll
Storm
tell you,
Shadow.
Black Dragon looks really great this season. They tweaked the designs a little bit, I believe. I think everyone looks super sharp this season.
I like that headbutt. That was
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
Freight's great. Freight,
Has
I
anyone
think.
seen my neck?
Yeah, he's no. I don't have one. It's funny though. We actually haven't this year. We have not seen a lot of the bad guys of Scar. So they were in the first season. We saw there really are only 3. There's Wreckage, Rampage, and Inferno. Those are the 3 captains, right?
Okay.
And we saw them all the time. Every episode, we got a lot of them. We're 5 episodes in, and I think we've only seen Rampage and Wreckage once, and maybe Inferno once. And that's a lot. Like that's that's a big shift for this show, because we even got origins for those guys in the first season, which is also something that this show did that Sunbow never did. Like they went deep into the origins of the bad guys and some of the Joes. More of the bad guys though.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Lasers.
They also vary the lasers on this too. Last episode I noticed Freight was shooting a gun that it wasn't just like a traditional laser shot, but it was like circular. Think of Leia's stun gun in Star Wars: A New Hope. That
Right.
That's what Freight was shooting, and I'm like, that's a nice change too. So so now we're heading towards a toxic waste dump, and this bad guy with the scar
Eye
in his,
patch.
yeah, eye patch guy.
Only one man alone against Scar.
Oh, and here we go. So now we got some soldiers of Scar.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
The tables have turned, Lieutenant Stone. Oh, how the tables have turned. So Jason and Jarrod, on my show, we love to give ourselves, find my guests, a G.I. Joe code name. Or perhaps you want to be a member of Cobra, or Scar, or Extreme, or the Dreadnoks, or an Iron Grenadier. It doesn't matter. But we love to do this, and it's a lot of fun. So you guys already kind of come with your own nicknames. But I'm thinking, is there any, are you interested in redefining yourself? Or with the names that you guys roll with, do you want to then assume your place on the team? And what would your affiliation be, and what would your job be on the team?
Okay.
Boy, got me thinking.
I tell you what, I got an answer right off the bat.
Okay,
Go for it.
go for it. Jimmy.
Even though I am Death Probe, and I always will be, given this leeway.
You're not going to be a Cobra proctologist.
No, that sounds like a real pain. Never mind. I do want to be Cobra.
Okay.
My specialty will be long range planning and strategic development, because they clearly have an opening there.
Yes.
And my code name would be Mildly Competent. That would actually be my code name. They'd be like, "Where's Captain Mildly Competent?" Because I feel like if I was mildly competent at Cobra, I could really rise up the ranks really fast.
Would be an absolute king amongst
Serpentor would be like, "I need him at my right hand. He's mildly competent."
I need mildly competence. That's all I need. I need mild competence. Where is he? That's all I need.
Dudes like Major Blood would be watching me like, "Damn, mildly competent. How do you do it?"
Yeah, but he would write a poem about you. Major Blood.
That young go-getters going places.
Yeah. Yeah. I wish.
And I do it just by thinking things through, which clearly Cobra has never done.
Yeah. Oh, let's run this out to the end game. You black out one half of the whole world.
Yeah.
And
I'm gonna black everything out.
And then what? And then what? How are those people going to get you all the money and all the goods that you're demanding they give you if they can't drive their boats?
Yes. I recently watched a cartoon from the 80s cartoon, and they were like, "We want these people to give us these supplies they need." And the people are like, "No." And they're like, "Well, then we'll bomb you." I'm like, "Well, then you just destroyed the supplies."
Yeah.
So,
totally. So
That's
well,
why
I love
you
it.
need
I love it.
Captain
Mildly competent. Welcome to the Joe and Joe. Or you're a Cobra, so welcome to the Cobra team. But the Joe and Joe squad. Now, Jason.
Thank you, sir.
Jason, what about yourself?
Well, I was giving it some thought while Jarrod was rambling on there, and I think that, as I said, I'm an environmentalist, an air quality professional, and I know that in the real Army there are environmentalists to make sure that we, that we were protecting nature and making sure that we weren't doing permanent harm to the local ecology. And I don't remember seeing a Joe equivalent to that. So I think there's an opening for an environmentalist on their team. And so I think I will call myself, since I'm an air quality professional, codename Air Supply.
Are you?
Yeah.
Are you all out of love?
Yeah, I was
All
just
out of
you
love,
beat me
but
to
you know
it.
what? I can make love out of nothing at all.
Oh, that's
Oh, Lord.
fabulous. That
Code
is
name Air Supply.
yeah.
I love it.
Well, I that is so great. Air Supply, welcome to the G.I. Joe team. I feel like you and Airtight are gonna be like bunk mates.
Yep, we're gonna be buddies. We're
Yeah,
battle buddies.
Yeah, all out of love. That's so great. So on the show, the Joes have they've not only rescued Clancy, but they also use the kind of like the brainwave scanner, basically.
I thought
it was to restore his functioning. And
Once all my secrets were back in my own brain, I sent Scar a false code.
oh, that's great. So yeah, so once his secrets were back in, he gave Scar a false code, and now Clancy's back on top of his game.
I like how they've worked in like a real CIA connection. Almost
steals his glasses.
Yeah. Weren't those broken before?
No,
He's back.
those he just stole Tracker's glasses.
Oh.
The broken ones. This is amazing. The broken ones are actually a plot point from the final episode of the first season.
Oh, geez.
When he was kidnapped, his glasses got broken and knocked off, and Stone found the broken glasses. And then when he met quote-unquote Clancy at the end of the episode, Clancy was wearing his glasses because it was really Ironclaw in disguise. And 2 episodes from where we're at here, Stone finally remembered, oh, wait a minute, your glasses were broken when I saw you last. That means you weren't really Clancy, and then that's what started him down the path of figuring out that it was really Ironclaw.
I like that attention to detail.
And they were even now used to have Lakota find him on this episode. Like it's
Okay,
it's
what's
really
that say?
it's a MacGuffin that has some legs, man.
Does that say 96? Is that what it said?
This episode aired in October of 1996.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. And that's it,
That's-
guys. That's your episode of Joe on Joe Extreme.
Extreme.
Yeah, what did you think?
Hashtag release the extreme.
Release the extreme. Yeah, how can we need to we need to like emphasize that in the hashtag. What'd you guys think though? What'd you guys think of your first episode watching G.I. Joe Extreme?
Do we click play now or when do we click play?
What's
I
that?
thought-
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No.
What?
It's also Roofy's Extreme.
I didn't click play. I was guessing at all. Those things.
Got it.
Hey,
Well,
Joe.
you did a really good job following along. You know what? I like to
Joe?
think that's a credit to me as a play-by-play guy. Yes.
No, let me stop being an idiot for momentarily. I really liked it. I really appreciated you giving us the sort of the continuity clues. I'm very impressed by that. I went off a couple of times on the wonderful art style. I love the ink work. I love the backgrounds. Definitely way better than I was led to believe when I just was told it was a punchline. So yes, thumbs up from Jarrod.
I love
Jason.
it. Jason, what about you?
Yeah, I think it served to benefit a little bit coming in cold, knowing nothing about it, because I had a clean palette. I can see where people probably who had invested a lot of time and energy in the original Joes, may find this a little off-putting, but I really didn't. I like these characters. It was obviously well written. The story moved along crisply. Like you said, there were plot points that and plot threads that they tied together nicely. Characters were interesting. And I think Jarrod nailed the artistic part of it great. I mean, you could see that they used a lot of mattes and a lot of inks for efficiency's sake, but overall it comes together nicely and it's a pretty slick production.
I agree with everything you guys said. So I think that means we're all in favor of hashtag release the extreme.
I'd like to see more hashtag release the extreme. Absolutely.
All right. I love it. Well, let's put pressure out there. So, guys, thank you so much for being a guest on Joe today. It means a lot to me. You guys are fabulous. Weasel Skull and Death Probe, or now should I say mildly
Captain
competent
Mildly
and
Competent.
Air Supply.
An air supply.
It's
I'm all out of love. I'm
it's-
so lost without you.
I'm
I
all
know
out
you
of
were right, believing for so long.
I'm all out of Joes. I only got Cobra. I've got no military. Anyway, so you guys are great. Thank you so much for being a guest on the show this week. Remember, guys, find them at Longbox Crusade. Find that podcast. G.I. Joe Chronicles. They're going through the Devil's Due years. Yard sale artist on for your home geek, awesome found art needs.
All of it.
All of it. And Jason, thank you for keeping Washington State clean.
Oh, you're very welcome. It's an honor to do so, and thanks for having us on. We really enjoyed it, and yeah, this was a lot of fun.
Well, it was really my pleasure to have both of you. So, guys, now you Joe. And Joeing is half the battle. Extreme!
Hey! Oh, extreme! Release the extremes!